I've often said on this channel that editing is one of my favorite parts of photography. Again, just being able to transform a photo to look like your vision and reflect your style as a photographer is something I really enjoy. The best thing is that you can give the same photo, say it's a portrait, you can give the same portrait to a bunch of different photographers, and it's a guarantee that none of them are gonna look the same. Every portrait is going to be different. You ever look at a photo and recognize who it's from? For me, I do follow a few photographers on Instagram, and when I look at a photo, before I even see who posted it, I can already tell, oh, that's his photo or that's her photo, because I can recognize their touch, I can recognize their style. And it happens for other people too. When it comes to my photos, they see a portrait, they're like, oh, this is a Human Photographs portrait, this is Samuel's portrait, because of the editing style. Now, finding your own style takes time, obviously, right? It's something that you develop and something that you improve as time goes on. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. Now, I've done a couple one of these. This is the third part of where I look at some old photos that I edited like a year ago, some over a year ago, looking at them through my new style today. So basically, I took some old photos, I re-edited them, and today we're gonna, compare them and see where I improved, that sort of thing. Pardon my voice, I am a little bit sick at the moment, but nothing too bad. Welcome back. My name is Samuel. This is Human Photographs. On this channel, I create photography content. If that's what you're into, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any new content. Now, the photos that I will show you today have been re-edited with my, either my film preset or my Moody preset, both of which you can find using the first link in the description below. All right, without no further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with this portrait here. All of these portraits are portraits that I shot during my street photography walks, right? Where I just go out in the city and take portraits of people. Looking at this, the first thing that strikes me is the skin tone and the white balance, right? It's all wrong. Now there's way too much contrast. I noticed that like a year ago, I used to add a lot of contrast to my photos. I don't know why, but now I'm not saying there's something wrong with contrast. If you add contrast to your photos, there's nothing wrong with that. I still do to this day, but too much of it isn't good. Now, her face is looking pale, and I don't know, it's just weird. I do appreciate that the background is darker than her face, because this is something that I always try to do and that I wasn't doing a lot back in the day, like a year ago. But I do appreciate that. The background is darker than her face, so her face stands out a little bit more. I guess that's good. But I'm not a fan of the colors. Yeah, it's a little bit too contrasty for my taste now. Now, I'm sure this could work if you're trying to make like, I don't know, a very dark edit. But for me right now, it's not a bad photo, but the editing could be better. Now let's compare it to what it looks like now. Boom. Okay. All right. This is the new version of the photo, and it was edited using my Moody preset, as you can see right here, and it's looking pretty good. The first thing I noticed is the skin tones. Her skin tone are much more natural. In the previous photo, they were too pale, too white. There was almost no color to it. Her face was like gray. But here you can tell, you can better tell her skin tone. Her face is still the brightest part of the image. It's looking great. It's looking great. Now let's do a side-to-side comparison. All right, now this is where you can really see the difference even more. First things first, again, the skin tone. Her skin tone is much more natural in the new edit, and there's less contrast in the new edit, as you've probably noticed. And to me, less contrast means that we can see more information in the image, especially in the dark points, because what tends to happen to an image when you add a lot of contrast is you lose a lot of information in the shadows, right? In the darker parts of the photo. Now that I add less shadow, we can see more details in, for example, her hair right here. If you can see here, it's all dark, but here we can see more details in it, and that is great, especially here in this area. If you compare it, right, you can actually tell what's going on here. And if I can zoom in here on her eyes, here it kind of looks like grayish, the eyeliner, but it's actually blue, right? So even now the color is more accurate with this new edit. Again, this was edited with my Moody preset. Okay, all right. Let's look at this. First thing I'm noticing, this is a typical thing I used to do back in the day, is there's not enough background separation. I'm not talking about the bokeh. The background is, really blurry. I love this. Again, as you can see here, this was shot on my Canon EOS R with the 85mm f1.4 at f1.4. So background separation is great. But what I mean is the background is not darker than the subject. Again, I want the face to be brighter than the background. I want the face, whenever possible, to be the brightest part of the image so that it's the first thing that stands out as soon as you look at the portrait, okay? And here, the background is a little bit distracting. Not too much, but it could be darker. Skin tone isn't actually that bad. Now, there still is too much contrast because, for example, if I can zoom in here to me, this is too dark, right? There's just a black void there, right? Nowadays, I don't like to have a part in my photo that is just a dark void. That's just, really dark that you can't see any details there, right? I like to have some details even in the shadows, which is why on my channel, whenever I do an editing tutorial, you might notice that I often raise the shadows. It's because I want as much detail as possible in my photos. And then the white balance, again, is looking okay. Skin tone is looking all right. Let's compare it to the new one to see what the difference is. Okay. As you can see, you can instantly see the difference. You know what? I'm just gonna skip right to the side-to-side comparison. Look at this. The framing is a little bit different. Now, whenever I edit my photos, I like to have the third horizontal line be right on the eyes. So this is what I did here, which is why the framing is a little bit different. Very first thing that I noticed is that the face in the new edit is actually brighter than the background. It's the brightest part in the portrait, which is great. Her face stands out even more. The subject in general just stands out a lot better. Watch what I was telling you here. Here, you can't see anything that's going on. But look at the new edit. There was actually a lot of hair in that area. But in the old edit, you can't even tell that there was hair there because it's just a black void. There's no information here. But here, you can tell everything that's going on, right? You can tell that this is her hair, right? You can really see clearly into the shadows, the hair color. The details are not hidden. And this is what I love. Her eyes are looking great, nice and sharp. Her face is actually looking a lot more natural here. Her skin tone, at least, I think, is looking a lot more natural in the new edit. Again, this one was edited with my Moody preset. It's looking good. It's looking really good. I like doing these because it shows me how I've improved and how I've grown as a photographer. So let's keep it going. So this one isn't actually looking too bad. But don't get me wrong, there's definitely some things that I could improve there. But let's look at the positive first. The first thing is the face is actually brighter than the background. So this is good. Again, this was shot on the 85mm at f1.4. This is why the background is this blurry. I just love it. All this nice bokeh. Her eyes are sharp. She stands out. This is good. But then there's too much contrast. Now we're starting to get into the negative. Too much contrast. Too many just black voids, right? Just like right here. This is just dark. There's nothing there. Look at here. The shadows are crushed. Right? The shadows are crushed and I hate, well, hate is a strong word, but I just really don't like having these in my photos right now. The white balance is looking a little green, right? Now this was shot out of park. There's already a lot of green. I think even on her skin tone is looking a little bit greenish. Not a big fan of that. So the white balance could be improved. Her skin tone is looking all right, but it could always be better. There could be less contrast in the shadows because there's no information there. Yeah, so let's compare it to the new version. Wow. Okay, before I go into it, I took an artistic direction for this one. This was edited with my film preset, the Golden Memoir preset. And as you can see, it looks really like film. Let me do a side-by-side comparison so you can see more clearly what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is the side-by-side comparison. Now, the first thing I noticed is that I got rid of the black points, right? The crushed shadows. If I can zoom in here, say on her hair right there. If you look at the old edit, you couldn't tell anything that's going on here. But in the new one, you can see the information in the shadows. Also, Her skin here is looking a bit more natural. The skin tone is looking a bit more better. And a bit more better? I don't think that's English. Her skin tone is looking better in the new edit. And then her face is actually standing out more because in the old edit, her whole body was standing out because her whole body was just the brightest part in the image. But in the new edit, right, I added a radial gradient just on her face to brighten just the face so that this stays the brightest part of the image compared to the old edit, or unlike the old edit. Now, I could have used my Moody preset for this one also, but to me, the film preset gave it a... Film photography just has this look to it that you can't quite explain, but that you just love, right? And this is why I had to create this preset and put it out there for you guys because it really is amazing. Now, I do have a couple more photos of this person shot at the same park, the same moment. So let's do one last comparison with that. And here we go. I mean, come on. Just come on. I love the new version of this photo. And I love it because it feels like a photo that you would capture with an actual film camera, right? I mean, the skin tones are looking better. Look at her dress here. You can barely tell the information on her dress. But in the new one, you can see more information, even though it's not brighter, but there's just less contrast and you can really see what's going on. I also feel like she stands out more in the new edit, right? Now, she stands out in the old edit, but I don't know. You know, there's something about, you know, this film preset that makes the subject stand out in a unique type of way. And by the way, this edit didn't even take me long to do. It took me like a couple minutes because with this new film preset, all the effects are already applied, but also all the masks are already applied. When you use the preset, there's already background separation, right? It already selects the eyes and sharpens the eyes for you. It can even whiten the teeth. There's already a radial gradient on the face to brighten that for you. I mean, everything is already taken care of in the film preset. All you have to do is, you know, you can tweak the exposure, the shadows, however you want, even the white balance too. But just make sure to, you know, as I always say, not just apply a preset and then leave it like that. Always go in and tweak it so that it fits with your photo. But this is looking mighty good to me. I mean, this new film edit is, I just love it. I just love it. I love it so much that I might even make a tutorial about it. Now, as I said, I really love doing these kinds of videos where I go back and compare my old edits to my new edits because it shows me how I've improved. It shows me what I fixed in my editing style and what I can continue fixing, right? And it helps me keep track of my improvement. Who knows, maybe in 6 months to say a year from now, I'll be comparing the photos that I'm taking today with, you know, the photos that I'll be editing then. And that'll also be interesting to see the development there. Now, this is the third part in this, well, series, I guess you could say. And if you want to see part 1 and part 2, you can click right here. I've created a little playlist for you where you can watch all of that here. You can also get here to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Stay creative, keep creating. God bless you. Check out the presets, and I'll see you in the next one.